What's up everybody, gang? I'm back for another video. I told you I was going to introduce the rest of it. So we're going to go through 6 through 8 today. So make sure you stay tuned and keep learning what you can do before you come to Japan. Peace out, gang. Number 6. Now, a lot of people, especially America, I don't know about you, I always drove a car. And everyone I knew had a car. Now in Japan, you might see people driving, but one thing you won't realize is that there's a thing called shaken, which in translation would be like a safety inspection. Every so often, every 2 or 3 years in the States, you have to get a safety inspection. But to you guys, you think that's easy. You just pay 20 bucks and you get a sticker, then you just go register and then that's it. In Japan, it's different. In Japan, you have to go pay like 200, 300 bucks just to get in a safety inspection. And even then, let's say one little thing is wrong with your car, they'll say, no, sorry, not gonna work. And then let's say, even if you pass the safety inspection, you have to go register. To register, you have to pay so many different taxes. One, you pay this thing called weight tax. A lot of people in the States have never heard of a weight tax. Another thing you'll pay your local road tax. And a lot of people don't realize what road tax is, but it's like an annual fee that they make you pay as tax to say, we're letting you use our roads. So we'll make sure we keep the roads safe for you, but you just gotta pay tax on it. So one thing you'll realize when you get to Japan also is that even with just a car, owning a car alone, there's a lot of things you gotta go. And in the States, another thing, the number one big thing, insurance. When you get into car insurance, in the States, there's Geico, there's American Home Insurance. There's a lot of different things you can choose from that fits you. In Japan, you're very limited and it's very expensive, depending on what kind of coverage you want. Let's say I want a coverage that covers everything. I wrecked my car and I need a new one. To do that, you're paying almost like $4,000 a year. But the good thing about that is that you pay annually. So only once a year you'll pay during tax season, which is April. Another thing you gotta remember is April is tax season. But in Japan, you can pay annually. In the States, as you notice, you pay monthly. So like when I had Geico, I paid monthly about 100 bucks every month for just insurance. But in the States, you don't need insurance to register your car. In Japan, you need insurance before you even go register your car. You cannot register your car without insurance. So you gotta remember, you got to get your insurance, you gotta get your safety inspection, then you gotta get your tax. All that, let's say I buy a car for $8,000, which is cheap. But once you add in all the safety inspection and taxes, you're thinking probably about 15 grand you're gonna spend. And that's why in Japan, not many people own cars. That's why you see one family have one car. Or a lot of people use bicycles and a lot of people use the train. That's another thing you realize is that if you don't want to drive because it's so expensive, use the train. And that's why you see those videos on the YouTube that everybody is packed in the train because of how expensive tax is. And you'll realize that. So when you look for a car when you get to Japan, make sure you do your research. Make sure you know how much insurance is going to cost you, because depending on your age, it's different. And depending on where you are, it's different. And depending on what kind of car you get, the heavier car it is, the more taxes you'll pay. Remember that. Number 7, the medicine. This is the biggest thing you gotta make sure you remember this. When you come to Japan, the one thing you realize, the medicine here is very, I want to say weak, but it's not as strong as you think it is in the States. Why is that? There's certain things. Number 1, Japan is more strict on what they can use and how much they can use on everything. Like aspirin, stateside aspirin was not okay in Japan for hundreds of years. Well, I mean, aspirin's been along for 7 years maybe? But Japan has just recently, within 5 years ago, they said, okay, we can have aspirin come to Japan, but you gotta take this out, and this out. So Japanese aspirin, when you go to a Japanese drugstore, you'll realize that it's not even the same strain. you might not even feel it because it's meant for Japanese people. And like I said earlier, Japanese people have smaller clothes, they're much shorter, and so they don't need as strong of a medicine like you do in the States. Stateside, American and much taller, much bigger, so you need much more stronger medicine. And recently with the COVID outbreak, COVID-19, as you can tell, Japan is very, very late when it comes to vaccinations. The number one reason for that is that Japan has a strict laws about medicine. And because of that, without doing the proper inspection, the government would not allow the medical professionals to use any type of vaccination. So recently we finally got Pfizer coming to Japan, but to even get that Pfizer permitted in Japan, it took them 6 months. By then, America is already having no mask laws. So it's totally different. And so you gotta remember, when you come to Japan and you go to the medicine drugstore to get your medicine, even a hospital, you gotta remember to yourself that it's much weaker than you think it is. So you gotta take care of yourself, make sure you don't get sick. It's the number one thing to do, because in Japan, it's not as expensive as the States when it comes to medical, because insurance is covered by the government level. You pay your government insurance. So that's a good thing. But because of that, they have very strict laws. And just put it in the back of your head, make sure you remember that, because a lot of people ask me when they come to Japan is that, oh, I took aspirin, but my headache hasn't gone away. Or, I took cough medicine, but I'm still feeling, under the weather. You gotta remember, Japanese people have strict laws and they're much smaller proportions with everything. So just make sure you pay attention to those kind of warning signs, because when you come to Japan expecting the same stuff that you had in the States, you'll be totally disappointed and you'll be caught off guard. Just remember. Number 8, this is the last thing I want to talk about today, is that the number one thing you'll realize is that everything you see in the States that premiere, movies, music, let's say even clothes, the new stuff that's coming out, whether it's supplements, proteins, anything. You gotta remember, in Japan, because of the strict laws, like I just said in number 7, everything is much more delayed. Like recently, Godzilla vs. Kong, number one movie that people wanted to see. In the States, it came out in January. In Japan, it's still not out. We're still waiting for it to come out in the movie theaters. So remember that when you see something in the States premiere, expect it to be much more delayed in Japan. Music, thank God, but lately we have, social media. So you can just download it off of iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. That's a good thing. But movies, if you want to go to the movie theater and watch a movie, remember, everything's much more delayed, okay? So when you get certain things, like, I want to watch the new movie Mortal Kombat. I want to watch Mortal Kombat so bad because it's so cool, right? Scorpion, everything. But remember, in Japan, let's say it comes out in February in the States. It'll come out in Japan around in June. You gotta remember that. Much more delayed. And even fashion. Let's say fashion, for instance, like shoes. Air Force Ones. If everybody remembers, Air Force Ones became famous when Nelly, the rapper Nelly, dropped the song back in 2003. Back in 2003, he dropped a song called Air Force One. And that's when it was prime time. Everybody wore Air Force Ones. In Japan, it probably became a thing now. I start seeing more Japanese people wearing Air Force Ones now than I ever did when I was here. And that's with a lot of certain things. So you gotta remember, fashion is a little bit slow too. But because Japanese have its own type of fashion, you might like that too. But the good thing about Japan, and one thing that they're much faster than in the States, anime. If you love anime, Japan is perfect. Because you'll get everything firsthand, and you'll get everything before the States. So just remember, when you come to Japan, the last thing I want to say is that everything that I talked about today, you got to remember, everything in Japan is much more strict and much more expensive, much more smaller, and it's much more slower. So you got to remember, when you come here, don't expect everything to be so high, fast paced. Relax, take it easy, and then just enjoy. Please enjoy, because Japan is a beautiful, beautiful place. And I know you'll love it, and I love it. So, thank you for today. Gang out. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching this video. If you would like to join the Mikey Official Gang family, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment if you want to know more from us. Thank you for so much. I'll see you next time. Gang.